Hey, what's going on? It's your boy JoeThunder back once again with another episode of the Smoking JoeThunder podcast. Got the homie Elvis Freshly in the building.
Yo, what's going on, man?
Puro chilando, just chilling, bro.
Puro chilando.
Puro chilando. And if you don't know what that means I'm motherfucking chilling.
Hell yeah.
Smoking that Be Good weed, you know what I'm saying?
Smoking that Be Good, you know.
Yep, they're there on 11 West Hampden, you know, all your marijuana needs.
All your smoking needs and edible needs.
Yeah.
114th and Cherokee up in North Glen. Check them out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, we got another biz hanger for you. You know what I mean? You can find us on all platforms, and we got 1 million episodes, so I'm sure there's something that will tickle your fancy.
Right.
We got another one today, though.
Yeah, no, this one's going to be fresh.
Another bang about OG
Excited about
in the
this
building,
one.
you know what I'm
definitely.
saying? Minnesota,
out there.
born and raised. Born and raised. You know
There we go. Nice little mix there.
That was my
Hell
buddy
yeah.
right there. I've been watching Looney Tunes lately, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Porky Pig, I think, is the one.
Blah, 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 blah. We got Big Shock in the house, you know what I'm saying? UC, TCI, AKW crew, and then we got Speak NON.
AKB.
AKB
I'm sorry. AKB crew, shit. Man, don't beat me up, bro. Don't beat me up. You know what I'm saying? We got Big Speak in the house, you know what I'm saying?
He could barely talk
TKO
today.
NON. How y'all doing?
What up, Speak?
Good, just chilling. Just chilling,
What
man.
up?
Getting high with my homies.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All
Thank you both for blessing the podcast today.
Nah,
Appreciate
for
you
sure,
coming
for
through.
sure.
Thank you for having us, man.
Hey, is this your first time to Denver?
No, I've been out here a couple times. Came out here in like 2007, painted some stuff. Couple times since then, but yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And like we were saying, you're born and raised in Minnesota, right?
Yep, I'm from St. Paul originally. I lived in Chicago for a couple years during high school. But yeah, you know, Minnesota is what I rep, so that's the hometown.
That's kind of hard to do graffiti up there because it's cold as fuck, right?
Man, it is, and yes, it is.
Prepare well.
There's definitely a few months where it's like, yo, you just can't really be out here, but you know, we just get it in when it's warm, and you know, we still paint in the cold. It just sucks, you know.
Yeah,
Oh, it definitely does.
try to be fast as possible.
For
And,
real. Like it'll be like 30 degrees, and it'll be like, oh shit, we all got to go out because that's hot. You know?
yeah, that's warm enough.
Yeah, that's the warm weather right there, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know?
Hey, when did you kind of first start get into graffiti and get started?
Shit, man, I started in like 2002, like between 8th and 9th grade. Yeah, so 2002 started painting. I was like drawing and sketching shit for like a few years before that, but yeah, 02, 03 is about when it got started.
Right. What were you drawing? Like cartoon stuff or like comic book stuff or just
Nah.
read letters, actually your name? Or
I like always drew letters and shit like before
Like
graffiti.
graffiti was what you got into, or letters was what you got into first?
Yeah, just like designs and like letters and shit, and then like I discovered graffiti and it was like, oh shit, all right, this just clicks, you know?
Yeah.
You know? So I definitely spent a couple years just drawing and shit like before I really started getting up. So yeah.
what kind of made that transition from, you know what I mean, kind of doing it in your book and doing it at home to actually grabbing some markers or?
I mean, it was always the goal, you know, like I was like, I mean, I'm trying to be like a writer, you know, like you got to be out here doing the shit.
Right.
But I was like young, I was like 6th, 7th grade. So it was a little harder to like get out and do shit. But I honestly just wanted to get my shit up to a level where I felt good about painting it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like,
Comfortable about your stuff being out there.
Yeah.
I feel that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely keeps. I feel like it keeps a lot of people from just getting out there and doing it. You know, it's like, oh shit, I don't know if I don't really want this attached to my name yet.
Right,
You know, I got to make a little fresher style.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's dope. There's a lot of cats that just went out there and started doing it though, and
Yeah, respect to that
respect
too.
to that too,
On
'cause-
the spot.
and you like learn so much about it too when you're just out there getting it like that. I've definitely talked to people who've done both, and it's like there's an advantage to both of them, but
Definitely.
getting out there is the way to fucking just do it finally.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get out there and get up and get doing, get busy, shit. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
When did you start really like getting out there and painting?
Like 2002, 2003.
Oh, that was when you for finally. Oh, that was your
Yeah.
transition time.
Yep,
Oh,
yep.
I see. Dope.
I finally like met some homies who were like, I didn't really know any other writers. That was the other thing too. And
Yeah.
then I linked up with some people in like 8th grade, and you know, they were kind of like, they kind of showed me what was up. And actually my homie Arch, UC, he was one of the first real writers I met, and he showed me a lot. And then it was like, all right, now we're out here. And it was it was like a lot of just like walking around tagging too, like just like, you know, taking the bus to the other side of town and just with a silver marker and just like
mopping back,
you know, putting in like little tag work and shit. Yeah.
Hey, were you a hip hop head prior to that?
Yeah, definitely.
What were you like into? What were you listening? What kind of got you in?
Man, I mean, like the early 2000s, that was like a dope ass time for hip hop, man. Like all the underground shit was still popping, and Minnesota has like a really really dope hip hop scene, like rhyme sayers.
Yeah.
And like,
Did you get to witness any of that, or did you go to any early concerts or any kind of stuff like that?
I got to see a little bit of it, you know, not like a whole lot because I was like super young. You know?
You were like catching the tail end of it.
Yeah, like there wasn't a whole lot of like all ages shows and shit. But
I was like a senior at that time, you know, so I was like going to a little bit of the show. Like I wasn't really as much into it, so I could imagine like where you were at that time. That's
but it was definitely like it was around, you know, like that was like that was what everybody was into, and you know. Yeah.
Was there anything dope that branched out, you know, after that, like little scenes that maybe stayed local or?
I mean, the Twin Cities always had like a really strong like music scene and shit. Like there's a lot of people doing all sorts of shit up there, but I mean the hip hop stuff is still popping. I feel like it's just kind of evolved a little bit, you know. People are doing different shit. And,
cause there's b-boys up there. There's like everything. Everybody gets down up there. It's a dope scene.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, back then were any of those cats into graffiti or no?
A few people, like it was always like respected as part of the culture, you know. I'm pretty sure Slug used to write, or like at least he was like connected with writers. But you know, there was always like graph writers kind of in that mix, like doing designs and shit. But yeah, I mean, they were always like, you know, they were always repping the four elements and shit, you know.
Yeah, it's always been present there for sure. I've definitely heard a lot about.
Yeah.
You know, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
And like before my time, like the 90s and shit, like it was really popping. Like that was, I feel like there was a lot
more. The heyday of hip hop.
Yup, and graffiti
for out there,
yeah.
Did you ever try to rap?
Nah.
No.
You don't have no tracks.
You don't spit.
I might have a couple little tracks out there.
You do have a couple tracks floating around. I got one phone out there somewhere, but that's about it.
No, me, I ain't got nothing out there other than what you recorded on the sneak.
The free flow, right?
Yeah, I used to share a studio with some homies that did music, and you know we get turned up.
Yeah,
drop a little verse or whatever. But I don't. It's not my element.
Right, for sure. Yeah, whoever heard that shit, fuck you. No, that's tight, man. I mean, it's cool. It's cool because you say you didn't MC, but you still have a couple tracks. Like hip hop back then even was dope because people were trying a little bit of everything. It wasn't like, all right, I'm just a graffiti writer and I don't even fuck with hip hop, you know, or like there's a lot of shit like that. But back in the day, it was like if you did one thing, you were probably dabbling in the other.
For sure. Or you were like around it.
At least, and respected it, you know.
Homeboys doing that shit.
Right, people were doing it around you. Maybe you kicked the beatbox and the cipher and shit, but you know.
Hey, so once you got your tag, was Shock the first name that you wrote, or what was your first name?
I had some like real toy names that I would like tag the school bathroom and shit with. I wrote Toxic for a little bit. But I pretty much started writing Shock like right away. Like that was the name that I started actually painting with. I don't really have any like pieces out there with like other words and shit. So yeah, it's pretty much always been Shock.
And then what was after the tags? Did you start catching throwies? How was the progression?
Started doing pieces.
Yeah.
I was always like into piecing, you know, like that was always like what I was drawing and shit.
With the letters.
Yeah. And so like that was, you know,
that was what drew you to it too, huh?
Yeah. But you know, it was like everything. You know, like I knew that you couldn't just be a piecer. You know, you got to get up.
Yeah,
like,
you can't just do.
Yeah, and that's like that shit's that I love that shit too. Like so, we were doing all of it.
No, yeah, it's it's funny. It's always somebody always has like that one thing that's like this is what I like to do a lot, but I respect and love to do everything else. It's just same for me. Piecing is I love rocking a burner and finishing out something dope and leaving something dope, but also like rocking a throw on a dirty ass building.
No doubt, no doubt. And I try to be like an all around writer, like trying to rep in all all the areas. And I love, I love fucking shit up too. So,
Right.
Do you remember who kind of gave you your first throwy, or how'd you get your first throwy?
Man, my throwy like sucked until I still don't really fuck with my throwy that tough, but so I wasn't really
Same.
like a huge but honestly, the homie Silk, actually, he was really good at throw ups like from the get go, and he kind of like gave me some throws early on that I kind of just like made my own or whatever.
That's dope. That's dope. Hey, how is it in Minnesota? We were talking about earlier. You said the buff is strong, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything changed after the protests, after the uprising. Like, like it used to be like everything got buffed. I mean, people have always been crushing it out there. Like it's hella active, but like, they just buff shit. But after all this, after all that shit happened, it was like a whole new city. Like they stopped buffing. Like, I mean, half the city was like fucked up.
Right. Were you down there for that at all?
Yeah, for sure. I was out there the whole time.
How
like,
was that, man? Talk about that.
that shit was crazy, dude. It was crazy. It was.
I know, Speak, you were down here too at the Capitol, right?
Yes, sir. I was down here every day.
Yeah, man. Like,
What kind of shit was going on? Like, do you remember, what was the first day you went down there?
like the first day, like I heard what happened, and I heard that people were going to the spot where George Floyd was killed, right on 38th in Chicago, going down there to protest. So I went down there after work and just ran into like a march of people, and they were marching over to the police station. And so I just linked up with them and just started walking, and like we all got up to the police station, and everybody's like standing outside, like, protesting and shit. And it was like starting to get a little turned up towards the end. Like people were like throwing shit at the doors, but I was like, okay, like, we're out here, like, and I like went back to the crib, and then next morning I heard it was still going down. Like, I was like, oh shit, they're still out there.
They're still out there.
So I came back down there, and it was like a whole different scene. Like the cops are out there.
Was it more chaotic?
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, that's
bro.
when it's like barricaded, starting to get barricaded
It
up.
was starting to go down. Motherfuckers were up in Target. Like,
Oh shit.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Target got.
What happened?
Shit was trying to get ransacked.
Yeah.
Did they
dude.
just start looting shit?
Yeah, because there's all these like stores and shit across the street from the precinct.
Did something catch on fire? Was it
Yeah,
was
I
it the
mean,
Target or was
mad-
it something
like
else?
A ton of shit got burned down.
Yeah, right around it, all around the
all
police
around in
station.
both cities too, like Minneapolis and
Yeah.
St. Paul. Like, it was
Wow.
crazy. Like it was like all over both cities. It was going
Like
down.
some shit you see on TV?
Dude, it was complete. Like, it took a second to register that like, the cops like aren't coming.
Right.
Like, because you see some crazy shit going down. You're like, all right, they're gonna be
Cops
here.
will be here any minute.
Yeah, but
Cops
it's like
ain't showing up.
they're not coming through. Like it is that
It's
time
chaos
right
right
now.
now. Yeah.
And yeah, it was powerful. Like when they like took over the precinct and shit, and like fools were like on the roof, like
They actually like some Terminator shit, like
Yeah,
fucking
dude,
took
they,
it
like,
over.
I mean,
Rambo shit.
they had it. It was like surrounded for a minute, and then like the cops just like left, and
It's probably smart.
yeah, or like they were like, fuck it, we're out of here, and then it just kind of took over, and it's still abandoned.
Holy shit.
Damn.
So like seeing like a
That's
police
crazy.
station get like taken over by the people was like pretty.
That's wild.
It was cool to see that shit. But yeah, it was wild though. Like, man, like seeing like your city just like on fire is pretty crazy.
I bet.
Like it was an intense time for sure. And there was all this other crazy shit going on too. Like there was all these like other like Nazi fools rolling around trying to like do like,
shit.
it was wild, dude.
Really?
There was like mad like
the other fools are coming out the woodworks
yeah,
too.
dude, and like people like it was real crazy. It was real crazy.
Hey, was there any moments where you kind of felt like maybe your life might be in jeopardy? Like you know what I mean? Where you're like, oh shit, like
There was definitely, because like at the beginning, so it was like 4 or 5 days that it was like fully going down. But like the first couple of days, it was like very like, we're out here for George Floyd. We're like, we're out here for a reason.
Right.
But towards the end, like motherfuckers were just coming into the city from wherever just to fuck shit up and like,
Right.
you know, and it was just a different vibe towards the end, you know.
And that's what I was gonna ask about that. Did you see any like fuck shit where like, you know, they said like in Atlanta they were like piles of bricks?
Yes, dude,
And,
all
like,
that shit. Yeah,
was
bro.
that shit like really? Did you see shit like that where there kind of could have been plants to fucking even fuck shit up even more?
Yes, there was all like it's like if somebody ever does like a documentary or like really like researches that whole shit, like there was all sorts of crazy shit. And like honestly, bro, like those fires and shit, like that was not the protests. Like
Right.
that was like some other fools, you know.
Cops.
Yes,
Because
like,
I mean, there are videos of like that, you know, that fool that looks like the cops
Bro,
dressing all black.
I was there at that auto zone, the first fire, the first thing that caught on fire. We were there, and like people were running up in the spot, and then this random white dude on like a motorcycle like starts like lighting shit on fire, and everybody's like, "Yo, this dude's a cop! This dude's a cop!" And yeah, that was, you know.
That's fucking wild, bro.
And there was a lot of like insurance fraud shit, and
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh, they took that. They seen the
yeah, like
opportunity and took
yeah.
it for sure.
a lot of like real shady shit, like developments that were like yeah, it's
They wanted to take those buildings over, but there was still something good about it, and they just
yup.
Torch them like some slumlord shit. You torch the
Absolutely.
building and get the insurance, you know?
Yeah, I mean when it's going down like that,
South
like
Bronx shit.
all sorts of crazy shit happens. But yeah, man, it was a wild time for sure.
Were you doing any graffiti or anything, getting up while the shit was going down too?
Nah, man, it was like that was not the vibe. Like it was like if you were out there as a writer, like you were doing like, you know, shit for the moment, for the movement, you know, like nobody was writing their names.
yeah,
like,
everybody was writing A cab and fuck the police and
Yeah.
like shit like that.
and it was mostly just like
Couple throws.
Like-
Yeah, a couple guys.
I see some throws. I see some throws.
yeah, people were out here getting it for sure, but like it was mostly just like civilians and like random people just like getting paint from the fucking auto store and just like writing whatever. Like that was like
Yeah,
that was the dopest shit.
our the Capitol over here was fucking crushed.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were painting the Capitol, man.
They're paying
Damn.
I want to say Bright got a tight throw you some little good footage on that shit,
Bright
huh?
did, Tusk and I did
Yeah.
a George Floyd on like a container that was right there. in
The green
front.
one, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
People were definitely taking advantage of it, and I was just out like all day, so I just had paint. We were doing all that, but also just throwies because it was also the midst of like COVID, you know what I mean? Still,
Right.
so it was like the streets I had already been like out painting and shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was already what was happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of like Shock just said, like a lot of people, what I started to notice just like towards the end were just like not there for the right cause. There were some people who were like solely there just to like
Just to fuck shit
fuck
up.
shit up, you know, and like it low-key kind of pissed me off because under the circumstance in Minnesota, like people witnessing that and that happening there, that is something that like I understand. But like out here, there were people just out there that just wanted to film themselves, either being
Right.
a part of it or just off
Social
off
media
bat,
drive.
Not even black people, not even brown people, not even like white people. Just off bat would just walk up to cops and just like, you know, fuck you, fuck cops, like all this, you know, like
It was a social media
You know?
thing,
it really was, and
trying to show that you're cool.
you know, and I don't know, man, specific organizations, there's like a lot of shady shit. Everybody wanted to seem like they were just like the best people a part of it, you know, and I don't know, man, I just went out there, did my thing, you know what I'm saying, wrote what I had to write, and was just there for my people and shit, but I definitely witnessed like a lot of
Fuck shit.
fuck shit, yeah.
Was there any kind of moments at times that you were kind of like, you know what I mean? I don't want to say scared, but kind of it's like, damn, did you get shot by any rubber bullets or any shit like that?
I did get a couple rubber bullets. Was semi close to a couple, like I don't know if they're like the flash bombs or like
Right.
Flash grenades,
the
yeah.
flash grenades. That happened a couple times. The fucking the what they were shooting, like they were shooting rubber bullets, but they were shooting like paintballs that were full of like mace, almost
Yeah.
like bear mace.
Damn.
They hit you like
Yeah, I seen
it
those.
burns,
Yeah.
it burns, you know, like, yeah, a lot of shit actually went down. I didn't feel like my life was like in danger. Like I didn't feel like I'm about to like die right now, but I was like, I'm about to get hurt. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
well, that's-
and I,
you know,
I
still
did.
getting
A
hurt,
couple
yeah.
people got hurt. You know what I mean? A couple of my homies who I was with, and I know I forget his name, got had to get a fake
Terps,
eye, right? Terps, yeah, got shot in the fucking
got shot in the eye. He lost his eye.
Lost his
The
eye.
homie.
Damn.
You know, a lot of crazy shit went down.
And that sounds like the total opposite. It sounds like in Denver, the police were fucking trying to get back and trying to take shit over, where in Minnesota, they just dipped.
I
They're
mean,
like,
they
fuck
were
this.
they were doing their thing a little bit, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was different for sure. People were definitely getting fucked up by all that shit.
That shit's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Those are fucking. It was pretty drastic.
Yeah, man. And then afterwards, like everybody who was like an artist or a writer or like had any creative whatever was out there, because the whole city was boarded up. Like every single,
Hitting all the boards and shit.
yeah, bro, it was so dope. Like
That's tight.
anybody who could paint was out there, and it was just like you didn't even need to really, like, you could just pull up on a spot, you know?
Right, you didn't really need permission. You
Yeah. So we were out there doing like big ass like full murals and shit, like just on the street.
Right.
Because it was like, man, there's, yeah, like, and it was all like, it was a cool time.
That's
Like, I mean, it
fucking
was crazy and hectic, but like,
right, but it was crushed.
you know, to be out there just like putting up messages and like, you know, trying to like, you know, write positive shit for the people, like that was, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
How is like the relationship with the police out there now? Is it still like fucking fuck them? Is it like scared of them? Like just not even trying to? I mean, me personally, I ain't ever trying to deal with the police. You know what I mean? So
the Minneapolis police are like famously whack, you know, like
Right.
they're like pretty,
super troopers.
they're just, you know, they've always been on
Notorious,
some
lame
like
fools.
racist shit. Like they've always been fucking people up. Like, they're just, yeah. And so the relationship, you know, especially in like the black and brown community, has always been fucked, you know, and now they're just like, it seems like they're just kind of like hands off. They're
And
like,
fuck you, do what you want then.
right. They're like, well, if you want to say fuck us, then fuck you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where it's at now. I mean, they just had brought in like all these crazy like Fed agencies and shit up there because it was getting like really crazy, like the, you know, the shootings and
Right,
carjackings,
right.
and like it just got
Shit was
real.
getting out of hand.
Does it go down up there? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It goes
shit's
down, and
wild.
it's been going down a lot. I mean, I feel like
More.
every city in America
There's increase,
is
yeah.
going down these days.
because honestly, real quick, I'll tell you, when I think of Minnesota, bro, I don't think of like black people or Mexican people there at all.
Yeah, most people don't, you know. That's, and honestly, neither does Minnesota, and that's why shit was fucked up, and we had to, you know, do our thing.
Right.
Because yeah, it's a weird place to be a different color for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah.
but yeah, I
Can
mean, it's
imagine.
getting better though. Like, you know, that shit really woke people up,
Yeah.
and it was like, oh,
Yeah, people are starting to take accountability.
yeah, because it was just like, you know, everything's cool up here. We're good. We're like this, you know, this nice like liberal state. Like everything's all good, but like that really showed people like it's not. It's
Not
not.
what it is.
So
It's actually not that.
Yeah.
I gotta ask this question, man, because you are from Minnesota and you were amidst of this and a part of all this stuff that kind of happened. What do you think of Kanye's comments the other day about George Floyd, you know, dying from fentanyl? It's kind of some whack ass shit. Like,
Shit, I missed that. I only heard about that secondhand, but I mean, yeah, that's dumb. You know, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about or why. I mean, I love Kanye's music, like always and forever, but you know, I just try not to like pay attention to like what
to
he's
the other side of
yeah.
him.
It's like, I get it, bro. You're like, that's what happens when you're like this crazy genius person. Like, you might get weird at some point. So,
Right.
you know, you make college dropout. I still rock that shit. You know, your music has been like a soundtrack to my life since I was a kid. So I'm just gonna. But I mean, obviously, I don't agree with that shit or like what he's mostly talking about.
What do you think of that, Speak?
Man, half of me, which is like pretty much everybody's comments, are just like, I always love Kanye's music and like as a producer, but as a person, I'm not gonna be like, I love Kanye.
You're not voting for him?
Hell nah, I would not. Even if I like Kanye, I wouldn't vote for that fool to. Yeah, nah. I just think like, I don't know, with Trump and with this fool, like, I don't know, man. America's kind of a joke, so I really don't like. obviously it's like we can't even take our own president seriously, or people who are trying to be president, you know. And I don't know. I kind of don't pay attention to a lot of that. The Kanye thing I did see, and also prior to that, it was like, I think a Balenciaga like fashion show or some shit. That fool had a White Lives Matter shirt on, you know. And I don't know, man. It's like, I get it. Like, you're Kanye. You're gonna say what you want and do what you want, you know. But I forget what podcast or interview he was doing, but homie kind of called him out on it, like, you know, like, black people are actually out here dying, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, but Kanye's a weirdo, bro. He's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
Kind of out there. I mean,
yeah.
But he's gonna make money because people are gonna watch whatever the fuck he does. Like, that's the thing, is like, whether you're a fucking like a dumbass or like a good person, it don't matter. Like, it's all publicity, it's all followers, and like, for every stream you get, for every time someone watches your shit, people are gonna want to talk to you because you're that fucking
Right.
wild, you know. Like,
Yeah.
That's a
it's
Tekashi
still,
shit too.
it's still just pumping
That's
money
crazy.
into this fool's pockets, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. That's just like America, is like streams and just like views, and it's like, whether you're like bad or not. I'm sitting here listening to some fucking trial about Johnny Depp that has like nothing to do with me, but it's like the fucking talk of like everything on
thing.
social media. Like, it's weird, bro. Like, it's like, I didn't.
She shit in his bed, bro.
I know.
Come on.
I heard that one.
How
I
do
was
you
like,
miss
damn.
that? Like, what?
That's foul.
This bitch shit in his bed. And now she owes him how many millions dollars?
That's foul.
Damn. Oh, bro, the memes that came out of that thing alone. I don't even know what happened at the trial. I don't even give a fuck, but the memes are so funny.
And like that was like the most like watched thing.
Yeah.
So whack of us as a country, bro.
Like that's
That wasn't
That's
even
what I'm saying.
interesting.
That's
yeah,
like,
bro. That says
that's
all,
American culture, and that's not like everybody, but that's like the majority, is like, that's
No,
all we do is pay attention to
fucking
like
lame.
dumb shit like that.
Uh-huh.
And I'm
Well, yeah,
just
and there's real shit popping.
yeah.
and I'm like,
so-
I guess I'll listen to it, you know what I mean? Like, my lady was listening to it and shit, or like other shit. And some of it's funny, I'm not gonna lie, you know what I'm saying? Once you listen, you're like, oh, like, this shit in his bed, or like whatever. But then it's just like, I don't know, when the whole country's in tune to that, but not other things that are like actually going
Important.
on every day, just in your city, not on like even a pulp culture level, but like your city, like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
America's America, dude. Kanye's always gonna be Kanye as long as people keep listening to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hey. Motherfuckers making money. I mean, he's losing it right now, though. He's fucking up with Gap and fucking Adidas. And
I think he's gonna do it even bigger though. He's like, you know, he's kind of doing.
Yeah, he
this
says
shit.
Sway has the answers.
Yeah, he's,
Those are burning their Yeezys. Nah, I mean, people are still gonna get that shit no matter what. He's still gonna kill it. But it's really funny. I mean, to see what he's doing. You know, coming out later, saying Sway does have the answers. It's just like hilarious to me. But I'm like, is that a move? You know.
Yeah.
But whatever.
all be
Fuck all
publicity.
these rich celebrities doing fake shit.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how everybody's we're all watching it. Everybody's looking at it and seeing it, and it's in our face, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that with like those protests and shit was like the same thing, bro. Like, I noticed people who were like only there to just be like with their phone,
Oh yeah.
filming themselves. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I don't know. Y'all are just like some fake movement ass motherfuckers. You know, you just want to look like you're a part of it. And when this shit's over, like, you're not. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be doing anything.
Yeah.
You know.
one of the things was like people trying to like kind of tell me how bad it was, and like we know firsthand. Like, I don't need you. I've known this for years. I can give you quite a few examples of, you know, motherfuckers fucking with me on my way home or some bullshit. You know
Some
what I mean?
people thought George Floyd, for some reason, was the only black fool to like get killed like by a police officer.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like, dude, there's like 4 or 5 people even prior to that. But even
this
like
year
if
alone.
you think before you had a camera on your phone, before fools were filming this shit, I know Rodney King was probably, it was like the first time. But think about how many people just died
Got their ass whooped.
without
Yeah.
being filmed, and you never knew about it. You know, people
Right.
I don't even fucking know who aren't, you know, who are just I don't know, just out there, and you're just like, it happens every day, bro. You know what I mean?
Like menace to
Yeah.
society, they pick them up and beat them up and drop
That's
them off
like-
in the
that's
wrong
real
hood.
shit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you see this cop just literally walked up to this kid's car, opened up his door with his gun drawn, and fucking the kid, he was asleep. He woke up and fucking took off, and the cop killed him.
Damn.
Kid, 17 years old. Just like, what the fuck is,
Yeah, dude.
you know?
And
Man, it's
like,
crazy out here.
like if you're black and brown, like you know about that shit, you know. But I feel like,
Yeah, the
like,
rest of America had no idea.
and bro, I didn't even fully grasp how much white people didn't understand.
Right,
that
everybody
until
knew
after.
this.
It's like, yo, y'all don't know that this is going on. Like, you think people are just making this shit up? Like, no, like.
They do, though. They
Yeah.
think people are just making this shit up, bro. That's the funniest part of it all. It's like, damn, we really think we're just pretending. Like,
That's like that. That's like that. That's white privilege, bro. They get
Yeah.
to tune in and tune out whenever they want, but like, you're not even gonna understand that the fact that like we could walk in somewhere and someone could be racist, whatever, and they're gonna look you in your eye and like shake your hand and then like not even like look at me. It's like
Right.
even little things like that, bro. It's like interactions, just like in life, you know. That's just like that privilege, and then you try to say like, you know, this happened, that happened. All of a sudden, they see this shit on camera, and they're like, "Oh my god!" Like, and I'm like, "Dog, this is my whole life, bro." You
For
know
real.
what I mean?
right.
Have you guys had any crazy experiences with the police?
Yeah. Mostly, yeah, for sure. Mostly when I was like doing graffiti and shit, but like,
You got any examples or anything you want to tell?
Mostly while committing crimes, but whatever.
yeah, there was definitely
Yeah.
a few. Just, you know, I mean, there's definitely been plenty of like, you know, just random like not doing shit and getting fucked with, but most of like the crazy shit happened in the field, you
Right.
know.
Right.
I'll think of some stories and come back to it.
I tell you shit, one time, man, I was in college and we had 7-Eleven, like kind of the restaurant right here is just catty corner, like super walking distance, and we fucking went to go get beer because it's getting about midnight and shit. And this fool, like some bum motherfucker was in there with us, not with us, but just in there, you know what I mean? And he sold a butcher knife. And fucking the 7-Eleven people called the cops. And I'm talking, these motherfucking cops are there in 2 seconds. We're literally halfway back to our crib, and these motherfuckers draw down on us with about 10 guns, and like, what the fuck is going on? And this motherfucker's like kind of, you know, maybe a couple 100 feet away by the dumpster right there, like, you know what I mean?
Damn.
These motherfuckers like get on the ground. They're like, all we had was like beer, and we're college students, but yeah, that shit was crazy, bro.
Damn.
Yeah, man. I think little shit like when I was younger, like just middle school through high school, I think I was just always kind of at the wrong place at the wrong time sometimes. I remember the first time I ever got like sweated by a fucking cop. You know what I mean? Cops have always been weird, and I've kind of avoided it. But it was just like me and my homie Greg were waiting for the 14 on Florida. And we used to just like fuck with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I don't know, fucking
Kinda play fight?
Yeah, like play fighting. And someone called the cops and like said that like someone was like getting fucked up on the side of the street or something, and this fool just pulled up on us and fucking, I don't know, immediately was just like, get on the fucking ground, like just sweated us, dude. And we were just like, bro, like what did we do? You know what I mean? And we were just play fighting, and even after that, he just like continued just to fucking
Be a dick.
be a fucking dick, bro. Like, you know, definitely have been in areas where like I've been pulled over a couple times just because I fit the description of some shit. But I think the weirdest one, and this one's not even the baddest one, but when I caught like my first big case for like in graffiti, you know what I mean? I was around like 18, 19. The cop that arrested me was a fucking asshole, but he was like black. It was like a weird like culture shock, like don't be a menace shit, you know, the fool that's just like I hate the black on your gums, like, you know what I mean? But he was like a fucking asshole, dude.
I feel you.
And I had like a fucked up back, like to the point because he had me on the ground like uncomfortable, and I just asked him if I could sit up, like yo, my back's fucked up, you know what I mean? Like, even though I was out painting, it was kind of a dumb thing to say, but anyways, he treats me like a fucking asshole and then puts me in the back of his car, and he has like a fucking sound system like in his cop car, and he starts bumping this Tyga song that's like do my dance on your dick, fool. You know you love that shit. Like some hood ass like weird shit, bro. And this fool's like, I don't know, what's that shit with Will Smith in it? Bad Boys, like. I don't know, kind of like gangster black cop or whatever. But I'm like in the back of this fool's car, like listening to this song, like what the fuck just happened? You know what I mean?
He's just bumping.
It was fucking weird. I was like, you're a fucking like joke, my dude. Like that same night, I went to a cell and then they transferred me into Denver County, and I had another interaction where like every time they move you, they shackle you and put the cuffs on you. Mm-hmm. But when I went to Denver County, the fool forgot to shackle my feet. So, when you go in there, you get patted down, unlocked, and all that shit. And this cop just looks at me, and he's like, what the fuck happened to your shackles? You know what I mean? And I was like, you never put them on me. And for some reason, this fool just thought I was like Houdini or some shit. And was just like, no, what happened to him? Like, what did you do? And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean, bro? And this fool, I went to the holding cell in booking. And then when I went straight up, I like went to the hole. And like didn't even understand like what happened,
Yeah.
It was like weird, but it's because I kind of talked back to him, and I'm not even an aggressive fool, you know what I mean? You have to do a lot. It pissed me off, but I just like gave him attitude, like what the fuck are you talking? Like how do I get shackles off my feet in the back of your whip, in the back of this van, bro? Like you know what I mean?
Sick ass.
I've had a lot of dickhead experiences with cops, you know. And I've always had that stigma, when you're driving and you see a cop and, like, you're just like, like, everybody just, like, slows down and shit. Like, there's always, like, that stigma,
Right.
But I can't control, like, the color of my skin straight up has kind of, like, fucked me over a couple times, But I've always been a smart person. I know how to talk. I know how to communicate. You know what I mean? And I'm not, like, an asshole off bat unless, like, you're a dick to me, I'll talk to you. Whatever, even if I'm lying to your ass to get out of a situation, I'm gonna make it sound real.
Sounds good.
I've been blessed with being a good talker, so I've gotten myself also out of fucking situations by just being able just to talk, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, like this fool,
right?
He can talk, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
But, yeah, totally. Same shit for sure. Getting out of shit because you can talk.
Get the gab.
I had like a real like shitty time in Chicago one time, and like the Chicago cops are kind of like notoriously wild. And
I bet.
I was like 16, I was on the train, and I was catching a scribe, like a really tiny little scribe, like in the, I don't know, in like the window or something. And this like undercover dude saw me from the other train, came over, pulled me up, was like, you're coming with us, whatever. They take me down to like it was on like the CTA, like the L, and they take me down to like the janitor's closet of the station, and they're just like, they like handcuff me to like this fucking crazy pipe, and they're just like talking all this shit, and they're like, if you can like, they're like, if you can pull the handcuffs over your head, we'll let you go. And so I start like trying to do it, and they're just like kicking my ass like while I'm doing that shit. And then they called the like Chicago cops, like the actual, because this was like the transit police or whatever. And then they called like the real cops, and they showed up, and they were just like, like, what do we got here? Blah, blah, blah. Just like coming in with all this, like immediately just like, fuck you, we're going to fucking ruin your life, blah, blah, blah. And just like instant fucking whackness, like hella like, boot in the face shit. And then,
they weren't trying to cut you any breaks.
They were just fucking with me, man. And like,
fucking dicks.
and then they like took me, they like put me in the back of the cop car, and then they just drove around with me in the back while they arrested other people and like took other people to jail and shit.
No shit.
And so I was chilling in the back with all these like random fools. And then we get to the station or whatever, and they call my mom because I was 16. And my mom's like waiting in the lobby and shit. And they're like, damn, bro, is that your mom? She's fine as, like, just talking all this shit. Like, they just have my mom sitting out in the lobby for like an hour while they just talk shit.
Oh my God.
It was super whack.
That's fucking whack. Lame ass motherfuckers.
That's crazy.
You
You got any stories like that, Elvis?
No, hell no.
Fucking with the police?
The police? Oh man, yeah, I've definitely been picked up and treated like shit before. One time they really did my homie dirty. It was kind of the worst situation I was in. I our school gave us little bags of candy for Halloween, and baggies, like sandwich baggies. And this fool just we're sitting outside of the school, the little store right across the street. Is that Manual? And he rolls up the fucking baggie of candy like it's weed or whatever, you know. And he licked it and put it. It was so funny. And he put it in his pocket. And then we're chilling, and all of a sudden, you hear wham! And my homie just gets tackled by this fucking cop, like fucked up, tackled
Like
hard,
Von Miller
like
tackle.
Von Miller. Yeah, just speared this fool, Goldberg, this motherfucker. Like he gave it to him
Out of nowhere.
out of nowhere. We're in high school, bro. It's a full-grown fucking 30-year-old big ass man, you know. Tackles my homie and hems him up and pulls out his bag of candy, and we're like, everyone's like, what the fuck? And there's a bunch of kids there, and we're all like, who the fuck are you? What's your badge? Like, girls are all like, what's your badge number? What's your badge number? Whoa, bitch. I wasn't talking to you. No, but, let me get this thing away. No, and he takes all shit. My homie doesn't have anything in his pockets other than the fucking candy and, like, you know, pencils and shit. We didn't have phones yet, so. And bro, fuck this fool up. He felt stupid as fuck. Didn't answer no one's questions and just left.
Just
Damn.
up and
Oh,
left.
because everybody was surrounding this fool. Like, what the fuck is going on? Everyone knows, you know, we were cool, you know. Everybody knew us, and it's like the end of the school day, so everybody's outside. They're like, what the fuck's going on there? Everyone's talking shit to the cop. It was cool. He was by himself. It was actually a pretty cool little like experience where there was some like defiance that worked, you know. But it was pretty fucked up. My homie got worked.
Damn, that's crazy.
Another one though, they pulled us over and pulled out. My homie was living out of his car, and they searched his car and they pulled everything out of his car. He had a stack of CDs, and they were like frisbee in the CDs.
Oh, man.
And they pulled everything out of his car, like pulled it all out and just threw it all in the gutter, and that's like fucking dickhead shit. And then we're like, all right, fuck out of here,
Damn.
and just left.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was pretty whack.
Damn.
Hey,
Hey, on another note, you guys got an art show, right? That's what kind of brought you to town?
Yup.
Sir.
Talk about that, man.
No, man, we did a show. Actually, the weekend that the cop who killed George Floyd, it was like his trial, right? And being out there was like that shit was like, I don't know. There was like the army. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I was just driving around with the homie, and there were just parking lots full. I don't know. But we did a show. I met Shock originally in Minnesota painting an event out there called Intertribal Styles. Then my homies Luscious and Lost from TKO. Shouts out to them, Indigenous Roots Cultural Arts Center, and everybody else who helped with that event. Intertribal Styles was an event where every writer or artist was either black, brown, or indigenous, just kind of giving us a space to be, you know, just to be the ones who are creating and killing it. So
Hell yeah.
I always seen Shock shit, you know, like I came up in the Flickr era, you know, so like I had always seen,
already
like,
seen that, yeah.
you know, UC crew, HM
TCI.
crew, TCI, like
Yeah,
everyone,
seen that
you
shit.
know, and always looked up to it, and it was even cooler to find out that he was there and he was fucking brown, you know what I mean? Like, shouts out to the homie Usem from Chicago and X-Men crew, got to meet him out there. The Seventh Letter Cats, that's who I stood with both times I painted out there. And yeah, met Shock, you know, kind of, you know, just hit him up and was like, yo, let's do an art show. And we did an art show at Indigenous Roots Cultural Arts Center. Really dope spot. They do a lot of stuff for the community. Most of them are indigenous, brown. Really dope people, and they let us do a show in their gallery on my birthday, and also the night that I found out I was gonna have my daughter, all at the same time. So it was a pretty wild night, and you know, I just hit Shock up and was like, you know, we did that show out there, so let's do like a part 2 out here, you know. So now Shock is here.
Yeah, and I appreciate the love, man. I'm, you know, good looking out. But yeah, we did the show up in St. Paul together. And yeah, man, it just felt like the styles really clicked, and you know, it was just dope. And yeah, and like I feel like our work has like similar themes and similar kind of energy to it.
Yeah, I feel like the show that we did was kind of like the middle ground of like everything that was happening. Like somewhere people could still come and just think about what's happening. Process it, acknowledge it, but also like relax and see art. All of our art spoke to what has been going on in our communities, but what was happening specifically in Minnesota.
Yeah, it was crazy because it was right. Dante Wright had just got killed. Another young black dude who was killed by the police up there, like after George Floyd.
Damn.
Yeah, and so obviously the city's already like on the edge.
Yeah.
And then they do that shit again, and so it was like the vibe was just heavy, bro. Like it was just heavy. It was just like, dude, this shit is fucked up. And it almost even felt kind of weird to have an art show in the middle of all that.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I didn't know how it was gonna go. I was like, there's a lot of shit.
How was it turn out?
It was dope, man. And I think we both kind of realized it's like, yo, people need some like uplifting, cool shit right now, So like we gotta, like, this is important.
And that's why it was like a middle ground. Like all of our work spoke to what was going on, but it was still uplifting, and it was just kind of an area because, if not everybody there, but I know a lot of the folks I knew who were there were all involved in protesting and doing their thing for the community. So it was dope to be there and have that turnout and meet people I'd never met before, and
Yeah, that was a great show, man. Super dope.
Really good show, yeah. And yeah, now we have one. Shouts out to Left Side Gallery and Cole over there who runs that. Really good dude. We got a show tomorrow, which is October 22nd, 5 to 10 p.m. or however late it goes at Left Side Gallery. And
yes, come through.
Come through, check it out.
What kind of stuff do you guys have? Do you guys have merch? Do you guys have prints? Do you guys just have pieces, like art pieces?
Yeah, we got pieces. I brought some shirts. I don't know. Do you have other stuff?
I just have, all I got is canvas, and then I have some zines, some limited edition zines that I
You got no
made.
bags?
No bags. I haven't had time to make, because I do every one of those by like hand, like as I get the order. So it's like they were cool for a minute when they were coming consistently, but hit me up. I got you if you need one. But yeah, I'm just gonna have some zines there, and I think tonight I might try to just do some little throwies or something. Just some small stuff to like throw there, throw some stickers.
Just some, yeah.
Yeah, gotta have the slaps and shit. It's crazy now. I feel like you gotta have merch as like a graph writer, dude. Like everybody's got like sticker packs and T-shirts and like all this shit. It's like
If you're trying to monetize in any way, shape, or form, then you have
Right.
to.
I've been seeing those fools on the gram that have been making those little dumpsters, or they'll do like the mailboxes. Like, you know what I mean? Those are kind of tight.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see people be that excited about the culture. I feel like we live in this like time right now where graffiti is like becoming cool.
That's my next question, man. Graffiti writers nowadays compared to, when you were growing up putting in work?
Oh man, that's a whole conversation right there, bro.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. No, man, it's different. It's very different, and it's even more different in the last couple years since COVID. Like, there's a whole generation that,
because, like you said, now after kind of COVID, everything's kind of lax. So I mean,
and that and that's great. Like, it's dope. Like, shit is getting crushed more than it ever has been. But yeah, I mean, it's different. Obviously, like, coming up before social media and all that was a different time. And yeah, I mean, it's just different for sure. I feel like every generation has their shit that they got to deal with. Like, yeah, it's like easier to do graffiti now, but like that's because the world's falling apart. So like you got to deal with that, like.
Right. I would say my thing with cats nowadays, they just don't know the rules or don't want to follow the rules or don't even give a fuck about the rules,
Yeah, definitely. There's a whole lot more of that. Like, there's like, because people don't really know history, because there's nowhere for it to really, other than like person to person or like, like it's hard to tell the story of what happened before. So like a lot of people just don't know, and they're just like, I'm just doing it for the gram. Like I don't give a fuck. Like
Don't even care. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, just a lot of that too. Just people out here and not caring.
Do you see a lot of that in Minnesota?
It's not too bad up there. People are pretty, like the scene there is pretty like tight, and everybody kind of knows what's up for the most part. Like it's people, you know, the newer writers kind of know the history a little bit, and you know, there's not too many like knuckleheads running around like doing stupid shit. Like people are pretty cool up there.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Are like gangs a big thing up in Minnesota or no? Like what you know?
There's definitely gangs. It's not like a huge thing. I mean, I'm not really in that world, so I don't really know. But like, it's not like it is in other places.
Right.
It's not like you like walking through a place and you'll get sweated and shit.
Right. Okay, that's cool. And that's what I was gonna ask you. What was like the first crew you joined?
The first crew. So my homies had this crew called TWC, the Wall Craftsmen. On some mad hip hop shit.
Hell yeah.
In like junior high, and so I joined that crew, and then it was mostly people that didn't really write or like weren't like that serious about it. So we were like, we need to form a new crew, and that's when we started UC. And so that was kind of my first crew. I was in ISK for a little bit, which is like another Minnesota crew.
Who did you start on UC with?
The homie who wrote Mosque, he doesn't write anymore, and then my homie Arch. They actually came up with it and then put me down like the next day, and then we put down Pedro and Silk pretty quickly after that, and yeah.
Did they kind of tell you what it stood for the first day?
I mean, we kind of just like picked it off of the letters at first, and then we had some like super whack acronyms, and then a couple like a week or so after we started, the homie Mosque was like, yo, he called me like landline, old school, hit me up at mom's crib like at like midnight or something, like, yo, United Crushers, and I was like, damn, and that was when it was like on, that was like, okay, tight, we have a cool acronym now. So, but it was it's a process starting a crew from scratch, and doing that whole thing. I mean, looking back now, like this year is the 20th year. This summer was like the 20 year anniversary of UC. So it's just crazy to like look back and think like, something that we started when we were kids, like in the homies' dining room is out here in the world now.
So do you have members like other places as well?
Yeah,
or like little chapters.
Well, everybody's like from Minnesota, but a lot of people moved to other places.
Moved
like,
on.
You got a lot of homies in New York right now, painting a lot of shit. The homies Silk, Ergot, Payer, Opaque, and then Purge is out in Portland, and there's people around, but
a bunch of crushers.
yeah.
And then after that, was it TCI?
Yeah, TCI. Yep. I was. That was like so TCI and AKB. AKB was like the Minneapolis like original. They were kind of like the original dudes in Minneapolis, like for piecing and like all that. Like their styles were kind of like the blueprint. I mean, them and HM, but like their styles were kind of like the blueprint for Twin Cities graffiti and shit.
All right.
And so in like the and then TCI was kind of on some similar shit out in Wisconsin. So sometime in the 90s, the two crews kind of linked up. But TCI was always more like a freight-oriented crew, and AKB was more walls. And they asked me to be in TCI, and I was like, I'm not really like a freight, like I don't, you guys are all like freight kings.
Right.
So I was a little bit like, I don't feel like I should be in this just yet. And then some time went on, and it was like, okay, I'm down, you know. And then getting down to TCI made me really want to put in work on freights, you know.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's like I'm in this crew with people that are like
Right.
straight like
Bunch of train crushers.
freight kings, you know, and so I gotta step it up on that level.
Freight kings.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Do you paint a lot of freights?
There's some of my
do.
favorite
Yeah.
train painters are in TCI. Like, I love it.
absolutely,
There's some crushers for sure.
absolutely.
Dudes get down.
Yeah, I mean, up in Minneapolis, like that's really, I mean, like you can paint the city for sure, and we all
But
do.
it ain't gonna really run, like you said, so you might as well go catch the trains. It's almost like the
Yeah.
default.
Yeah, it's like and you know it's the best way to get your word out there up in Minnesota. And trains are cool, you know, like
Yeah,
they're
they're
tight. Like I love trains.
Do you guys get like kind of like all the trains, you know what I mean? Or do you guys get in certain types? I'm not
Not
an
like
expertise in the trains. I know a little bit, but I know the lineage.
we used to. There used to be a lot more spots. It's a lot of like hoppers, you know, because there's a lot of like grain shit going on.
Grainers and
But yeah, I mean, there's like box cars. There's a lot of hoppers. It's not a huge variety. Sometimes we get lucky with some spots where they'll like put some new shit, but yeah, I mean, there's not like a huge variety of freights up there. A lot of hoppers, but
Yeah.
that's cool because they're always blank. So
and they're flat. I
Yeah,
like them.
they're dope as hell
They're
to
just high.
paint.
Some of the times they're just way too fucking high, and
yep,
sucks to paint them. But you're tall, so
yeah, it helps for
you
sure.
got an advantage for sure. I paint with the homie who's tall and lanky. Fucking bastard. I bring a big ass ladder, and he just has like a crate or whatever, and we have the same size pieces. But yeah,
It helps for sure.
for sure.
But it's cool too because they just go to like the middle, you know, they just roll around the Midwest, and like I don't know, like when I was younger I was like I want to be up in cities, I want to be up in places where people are at, but like nowadays I'm like I want to be up in the middle of South Dakota, you know, like I want because you know you put shit out there on a train or you paint some random spot in the middle of nowhere, and like somebody sees that and they're like, whoa, you know.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. The further you go out earlier, you know what I mean? Or just, you know,
Yeah.
people are going to see that shit.
And you know it's cool because it's like I don't know, it's like regional, you know, like the shit goes around the Midwest, and yeah, it might a lot of these trains just sit in a field in the middle of nowhere forever, but that's cool too. You just
Hell yeah. And then after TCI?
AKB,
right?
so that was like it's not like a super active crew anymore, but it's, you know, it's kind of like
They're like on chill mode? Like they
yeah,
paint when
just
they
like
want to paint, kind of?
older dudes, and you know, not really getting up as much anymore. It's kind of like, you know, they were like the original crew in Minneapolis, so like it's like, you know, it was an honor to get put down and
pay
to
homage,
be yeah, you know, because it's really like they're like the style masters, you know,
The originators type shit.
yeah, I mean, and you know, props to HM crew as well.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
so, but yeah, you know, I kind of, yeah, I rep it as like a, you know, it's like a historical thing, you know, it's like
That's dope.
to keep it relevant.
Whoa.
It's just the phone heads.
The
And-
phone heads.
And I learned a lot from those dudes too. Like that was like, you know, those were like the people whose styles I was looking at the most when I was starting off, and like really like, I really, my style really comes from those AKB TCI dudes, you know.
Can you tell us about your style? Describe your style.
Man, so like, I guess Minnesota kind of has like a very like, kind of traditional like, bar style. You know, real like, kind of like legible. I don't even know what you call it. Letters like, very like New York old school and all that.
Definitely readable.
Yeah, and like very simple. Like this, you know, a lot of people out there paint just like really simple, and you know, and that's dope. But yeah, so it's like, it's kind of like that more like traditional, old school bar style stuff. And then nowadays, like that was kind of like the, you know, what it was for a long time. And nowadays I'm really trying to push that and, you know, make it like push the limits of like letter form and just do weird shit, you know.
Like freak it.
Yeah, and like take it as far as you can go. Well, because that's like the thing is like there's rules to letters, you know, like there's rules to a piece. Like it's not, you can't just do whatever. So like trying to push it as far as you can, like within those rules,
Without breaking them.
is tight. And like one thing I've really been hyped on recently is trying to like do pieces that like convey like a feeling or something.
Okay.
You know, like pieces that could like stand alone as like a art, you know, like have like a like you it like says more than just the name or something, you know?
Right.
Which is hard to do with graffiti.
It's kind of like a production in a piece.
Yeah. Yep.
You're kind of exploring it more and giving them more than just basic, you know, your basic piece.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, man, just trying to push it. Like I feel like nowadays there's a lot of people really pushing like new techniques and different ways of doing graph.
sure.
The homie Shu, he's already at the top of this game, but he just keeps changing it. And every time that fool does some shit, you're just like, God damn, that fool just,
Yeah, man.
you know, shout out.
You gotta stay, you know, you gotta stay trying new things. But I feel like for me, like I'm, you know, like you see people out here doing all this like abstract, crazy shit that's like super dope. I feel like for me though, I'm just like I'm gonna push the stuff that I know as far as I can before trying to like pick up a whole new approach.
You know, master the first one, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, real quick, how were you guys getting paint back in the days?
Racking that shit, dude.
Was it easy in Minnesota? What were some of the ways you guys were racking it? We've heard some dandis. No.
I mean, it was you know, we started off just like, you know, getting 1 or 2 cans at a time, like, you know, doing the little belt line or your jacket or backpack or whatever, like the, you know, putting in. I feel like nowadays everybody just starts off pushing carts. It's like, nah, bro, we were out here getting 2 cans at a time, like having to go to like 10 different spots. It was, you know, it was a lot of work, and then, you know, figured out like carts and baskets and all that shit. And but yeah, it was honestly it wasn't like super hard. You just had to go out to the burbs and shit. And it was really hard though in Chicago.
I hear they don't sell paint in the city,
Still,
right?
to this day, you can't buy spray paint in Chicago. It's insane. It's like you go to like a hardware store and like where the paint should be, like there's just nothing. Like it's crazy. So getting paint when I lived there, that was a mission. Like I would usually just when I would go back home to visit my dad in Minnesota, like I would just like rack when I was there and then like bring it back. Like I would take the Amtrak and make those like 20 cans last for, you know, ever. Or you'd like take the bus way the fuck out to the suburbs to Michael's or whatever, and you know,
Like about an hour away. You got to be an hour out of the city, kind of, or what?
yeah, because like they don't sell it in the city, and then anything that's like close to the city is like hot because everybody goes there to get paint. So you got to go like way the fuck out. But yeah, I mean that was all we racked. It was all racking for sure.
Hey, was that a shock for you being in Chicago? Because it's way more gangster and way more violent, right? In Minnesota.
It was definitely a shock. Like.
And then like you said, I could see the police as being like hooligans, like he's ready to
Yeah.
fuck a motherfucker up. You know what I mean? Off till like.
I mean, it was definitely an experience. Like I moved down there after 9th grade, so like in the middle of high school.
Damn.
And just like pulling up in a new city, like don't know anybody, going to like a new high school, don't know anybody. I mean, luckily I had like linked up, I had like talked to a few other writers like on like some graffiti message board and like, you know, met up with some people pretty quick. Shout out to the homie Amuse out there. He was one of the first people I linked up with. But yeah, I was like, to come from like St. Paul, Minnesota, where it's like, you know, it's not that crazy. It's a city, but it's like, and then all of a sudden I'm in Chicago and there's trains and rooftops and like, it's like it was dope. You know, I was just like, all right, now I can like really do graffiti, you know, on like a more real level, and learned a lot real quick too. Like learned a lot.
Just different rules, right? Way different rules.
Absolutely, way different rules. And the culture in Chicago, like it's deep, you know. Like there's a whole there's so much history, and like there's so many writers there, and just like, you know, the whole culture of writing there, like the like beef and flipping people, and like
What's flipping people?
it's like in Chicago when people have beef, they'll write the other crew or the other person's name upside down, or if it's like really like super diss is like upside down and backwards.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's what I've never heard that, bro. Have you guys ever heard that shit?
It's like it goes back to like the gangs, like how they would do stuff. But
It's like back in the day shit, some hood shit.
Some
for sure.
generational ass shit.
yeah. But I was always like, why would we go out and paint these other people's names? Like, that's crazy to me. But like, I got it eventually.
So did you ever do that?
We had some little
You personally?
we had some little drama with some people, and you know, we did a couple little flips or whatever. But I mean, it makes sense now. It's like the ultimate disrespect. Like, you're going all the way out of your way to like.
Hey, what's the shit on A Christmas Story where when he puts his tongue on the pole that the double dog, triple dog dare you, some shit like that? That's the fucking ultimate diss, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
You can tell I'm high over here, shit. You know what I'm saying?
Tell you about a Christmas Story.
Yeah. Do you ever what were some crazy spots you caught in Chicago? Like some rooftops? You said you kind of elevated shit, right?
Well, yeah, I was like, we lived right by the Red Line, like pretty far on the north side, like over, and I would take the train to school every day, and like the Red Line at the time was like one of the main lines that people would paint. So like I would just like see all this graph like every single day, and I just was like, damn, these rooftops are like perfect, you know, because it's like you can like kind of spend your time up there, you can like do some like piecing type shit. And then, you know, everybody sees it on the train. It was just like the ideal graph spot. So I mostly just focus on that, and because I would get to see it every day.
Right.
That's the best shit.
And then we painted a lot of CTA trains too and shit. That I kind of caught that bug for a little bit. And like the train scene there is so active, like it's a whole thing. Like people don't even know. Like trains are getting smashed in Chicago since.
They have a big ass yard. They have a couple.
There's a few. There's a spot on like every line, pretty much. And you know, there's not that. It's not like New York where there's like a million spots. There's like a handful that get painted all the time. But yeah, it's cool, man. Like the train scene out there was really cool. Very just like top secret. Like nobody was showing their flicks. Like,
Right.
you know, like there was people that literally only painted subways, and you never saw them on the street. You never saw them on rooftops. Like they only painted Chicago trains.
Or they just had a different name for just trains.
Yeah, like, and then that was just like dope because there was just these like legendary people that like you would just like hear about, or like you would see like a tag that they had like on the train on like the vent or something, and you knew that they had a piece like next to it or whatever. Like,
You have any examples or anyone?
this dude Arc, and this dude Temper were like the ones that I really remember the most. CMW crew, MUL crew, KYM crew. Those were like,
Yeah, those was crushing.
those were like those were the three crews in Chicago like that painted trains, and if you weren't like in those crews, you were like not
Allowed to paint trains.
Yeah, straight up. And they would enforce that shit too. Like they would be like, nah.
Would they be fool's ass or what?
I mean, probably, but it was mostly just like they would just tell you to get the fuck out and go over your shit, you know.
Yeah. When it's hard to get paint in Chicago, you don't want people going
These are
over
clean
your shit.
trains?
Yeah, the clean trains.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild, bro.
But they were doing like insane stuff, man. Just like insane pieces on these trains, you know. And it never ran. It never. I mean, sometimes they'd run for like one run or whatever, but it was just this like mythical scene of shit, you know. Like, and nowadays, like, it's cool now to see this kind of like comeback. Like all these like trains are getting smashed in like New York and Chicago, and there's like really good like documentation of it. Like people are getting
Austin.
these like
There's some spots that are getting trains. Their trains are starting to get a little
totally
hit a little bit more. Some places are way more sketchy than others.
Definitely.
But Philly's like serious. You better not fuck with their trains up.
There's definitely still some places where they will get you for it. I mean,
people still get them though. Like
Yeah.
they're for real on some like James Bond mission type shit. Like,
Are you talking about like spots that are like high security where you'll
yeah,
get
like
busted?
you get popped, bro, and some of them like you have to go inside to even find these trains. You know what I mean? Like they're not leaving them outside in the yard. They're putting them in a mountain and shit, or like they're putting them inside of big
Damn.
warehouses. Nah, for real, like underground. You know, it's like they're not leaving them out. You got to go find these shits.
and it's cool because like the people that do, you know, the people that do that shit, they are the most about it people.
No, yeah.
And, you know, like insane levels of
Insane
like,
levels.
where
Like,
you're just like,
I
dude,
do call it EHC cats. All those cats are crushing. The TTK, like Conquer is the fucking murderer. You
Yo.
know, like there's fools just all over. I mean,
just
people are doing it in Europe and all over the place, but in the United States, it's harder.
I feel like it's harder in Europe, but those fools are just way more about it.
Well, cops don't have guns.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
They're with the shits.
Yeah.
Here, cops will shoot you.
Yeah, over there they'd be like fighting the cops and shit.
I feel like South America is the hardest to clean trains.
I believe that.
I think they said in Brazil, like fools are getting shot at and shit just for being in the.
I heard that
areas.
shit goes down in San Francisco. Shit, you know what I mean? Paint trains.
You know,
Yeah.
Someone told me, I heard somebody.
Yeah, the BART's heavily protected.
some kind of shit. Well, that or even the train. Some fool said they let the 12 gauge go and like fucking they had a dip. Like it was no joke.
Like the hood fools are not letting shit
I
slide.
think it was the homeless fools. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know how
those
San Francisco
homeless cats.
homeless
They're repping their
fucking-
little tents over their camps over there.
yeah, trying to paint
for
some
sure.
freights in
Fools ain't
somebody's
fucking
zone. No, yeah, that's another thing now too. Is a lot of the spots are like, you know, people live down there now, and you gotta be respectful of that shit. You know,
Yeah.
like a lot of graph spots are like straight up like people's cribs, and you know,
Yeah, for real, like people's houses. There's a spot here in Denver where the homeless fools will come out yelling. I mean, they'll just yell. Like, you know, they ain't really.
That's the best place to hide too. Not the ideal, but the best place.
Shut up! Here's $20. Let me just sit right here. First.
yeah, you gotta come bearing gifts. Bro.
Yeah, bring some
Oh,
whiskey and
I
some
think you always gotta
cigarettes.
have like a $20 but $5 bills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For lookout or
I'll
whatever.
just bring a bottle of whiskey for
Oh,
these
that
fools.
too?
I guarantee you.
And
Nah,
some
you know,
Fireball.
right?
And just be cool and be like, yo, can I paint here? And if they're like, no, be like, all right, you know,
Yeah, bet.
because you gotta respect people's space and shit, you know.
You ever deal with any crazy homeless people? Because I've always heard you don't ever want to fight a homeless person. Like you don't ever.
Well,
do that
for health reasons.
for anything.
I've never had any
They'll kill
really. I've never really had any. I mean, I've always had cool experiences with people. You know,
Yeah,
I just
me
try
too.
to like.
You gotta just respect their space. That's just like anybody, any human being. You gotta respect their space. There's some motherfuckers that the only issues I've ever had has been with people who are having issues at that moment. Like but that's me.
Right.
You know, that's me on them and their space and their issue that they have going on. That don't have nothing to do with them and me. You know, so it's people with mental issues that you usually are dealing with, and that's, you know, something that you could easily walk away from. You see, you know, motherfuckers crazy, you gotta go make their life worse.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, like if you're painting a spot where a lot of people are living, like try to do something dope, you know, like because somebody looks at that every day,
Right,
you know, like
yeah.
you're painting in someone's living room basically, so come correct.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch these freights.
Yeah,
Yep. A lot safer than Skid Row.
Well, I mean, yeah, I just trains are just where it's at, bro. Like,
trains are dope, and
if you don't know me in this city, you don't fucking know nobody. Get out of here. I'm just kidding. But you know, it's because like what, Denver's Denver and it's tight here, but I want my freights to travel. My shits are
yeah, man,
out there right
Coast
now.
to coast,
You know?
yeah, you want your
Yeah,
shit to be seen
I want them to
everywhere.
move. Like there is something to be said about having got the city too, though. Like I definitely can't be like, oh, I fucking got all these. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
not definitely my MO. I'm not like this fool who has a fucking throwy on, has had a throwy on damn near every block that's busy. Like, but you know, there's definitely a space for all that. But I'm just
Everything.
trying to catch trains, bro. I like painting
I think it's
trains.
just like longevity, you know, because like I mean, bombing's bombing, you know. That's where I come from originally, but it's
Wasting
not
paint.
hard to go and I don't know. And there's fools pushing it who are getting spots that I haven't seen gotten back in the day too. But
Yeah,
it's also easy to go get all the go-to spots in every
Right,
part of the
right.
city and be up. Like I'm not discrediting anybody, but Denver's not that hard of a city.
It's not hard
like,
to get up real
your,
fast.
see your name, whether you're known or like not.
I love seeing it though. I love everybody who's doing it. Keep doing it. I fucking love that shit. I love seeing graffiti every day in Denver.
It's definitely brought it back since the weed.
Oh,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? People
Oh, yeah.
start moving here.
Yeah. But yeah, trains are like, I think like longevity. I agree with Dalvis. Like, you know, and there are some people who are specifically just train heads. You know, do your thing, or if you do a little bit of everything. But I don't know. I love to. One day I know when I'm like gone that like one of my trains might still be rolling versus you know a tag or a throwy or a film that's like buffed. You know. But same with like these little underpasses and tunnel spots.
Cuddy spots,
too,
yeah. I like that shit too.
Because I wasn't bombing like that. I was bombing heavy like back in the day, and then I stopped for a while. But during that period is when I like capitalized on like all those tunnel spots, all those chill spots, like you know what I mean. And then now I'm back to like kind of you know I'm chilling a little bit, but
in the mix.
You know, I had a period in the last few years where I've just been bombing. You know, like
seeing you getting it.
I remember all those little.
Yeah,
I watched you get it. You definitely got it out here.
You gotta have.
Motherfuckers new.
Just a little bit. I'm that guy that's like I'm not the best. I know I'm not, and I know I'm not doing shit like ignore, like you know what I mean. Like I'm not doing billboards and shit. But I will tell you that any part of Denver you go, you're
gonna see a throw,
see
either
something, a piece, a throw, a tag. Like something, you know.
I remember you had them little throws everywhere for at one point. Well, I was like, this motherfucker's been getting
I'm like,
it.
fuck all city, bro. I'm all state, homie. You could drive a fucking hour away and find some tunnel spot, and I might fucking be in there.
Right.
I spent like 2-3 years just fucking mobbing because of you and like Pulp, and when there weren't a lot of people doing it. And then I got my fucking first car, and I was just like,
I'm gonna go do it now.
I'm just gonna go fight.
Those are the spots to shit. It was so much fun. Yeah,
that shit too. I could be gone, and it could be like fucking 60 years later, and someone could walk down to a dusty ass fucking Speak piece. You know what I mean?
It's not all sunbeat either. It's been kind of preserved if the water hasn't washed too much.
The water hasn't gone on it, but I like that shit too. When you find pieces like that, you're like, this shit's been
weathered
here for a minute.
It's weathered.
I'm happy that I found it.
Right.
It's better than finding shit on the internet. That's what I don't like about like Instagram and shit. And like I've recently kind of been just cutting back on how much I post because I forgot, like, you know, I was born in like the Flickr era, but it was still like before Instagram. And when I was on Flickr, like I wasn't on my phone, dog. I was at school.
Go look at it later on the computer.
To be doing work, and I had another little window open, you know.
Right.
But I just remember how it felt when I actually found pieces before seeing them on Instagram, and it just feels so much better. You feel special.
I know what you mean.
Like, I see, you know, like what the fuck, you know what I mean? I still find, you know, shouts out to a lot of writers too, because although the internet is popping, I still find pieces that were done in like the early 2000s that I've never found, and I'm just like, cross those gems. Yen is like a, you know, I know is a
for sure.
Like,
Yen's a crusher. He's cool as fuck too.
You know,
fuck with him.
It's cool when you think you're finding a spot for the first time, and then there's like a Yen tag.
Like, yo, he's like the originator of that shit, man. Like in the cut. Graffiti.
Graffiti.
You know?
He's so fresh, bro. He's definitely, you know, somebody who's killed it in his time and
definitely
earned his stripes for sure.
And like in Minnesota, like that, what you're talking about, like having these like the longevity spots and like to be truly up and all, like as a writer, like you got to do more than just like the hot shit. You know,
everything.
Right. You got to be up out in the cut. And that dude Yen was like. He was like the king of that shit. Like you'd be on the most random ass like weird set of train tracks in the middle of nowhere, and there'd be like a Yen thing. You know, it's like
you know who gets me kind of like that is the homie Maker. When you go out to New Mexico, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the Maker too. Like
painting under the bridges in just random New Mexico spots, and you know what I mean? Yeah.
Maker's not in Albuquerque either. Like even in New Mexico, the buff is like on the shit. Bombing's not like the shit.
That's why they paint that shit though. You know what I mean?
They have all those in specific cities. Like they have those track sides. Like finding some of those spots in Minnesota the first time's coming out. That's a big thing of y'all's. But there are spots you have to like mob far as fuck to like get to, but then you get there and it's like amazing, you know, like I like that, man, just going on missions and putting gems here. You can do that in the city too, bro, like, you know what I mean? There are cutty little alleyway spots
for sure.
buildings that aren't occupied, that it's like they don't occupy the back, like
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
I got spots like, you know what I mean? You might stumble upon because you wanted to go take a piss.
Yeah.
And all
Right.
of a sudden
Yeah.
you're like, oh shit. So speak peace back.
You know, I've been really wanting to just like travel and go paint a burner everywhere though. Like I get it, you know, I'm going out and painting and bombing the cities and all that shit and catching the rooftops and doing all that shit. I'm down and I'm with it even. I'm down to go help. But really, I want to leave a dope burner that's gonna ride for a while in every city. You know.
I feel like that's like a next step, or was like a next chapter of my graffiti is like when I started traveling, you know, because like all I knew was Denver, and like I like Denver, but there are also things I don't like about Denver, and then you just get stuck in this bubble of just fucking Denver, and then you go to another city and you're like, oh, they do shit different, or like Minnesota, like y'all have your own style. You go to other cities and they have their own
ways of doing things too.
you know?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite city?
Favorite city, I think, man, I really love Oakland and I really love San Francisco.
Yeah.
I love Minnesota. I love Texas. I think I love even the little cities, you know, if we go like the TKO homies in Nebraska, you know, like their train spots and shit and like, you know, their little cutty spots. I think I like every city because it's new. Well, no matter where I'm at, if I'm painting something, like it's not a fucking spot I knew about or found before. You know, it's new and it feels fresh, and you're just like, oh shit. You know?
Yeah, and like, and before Instagram and all that shit, like to get up, you had to go other places, you know? And yeah, and there's just like, I feel like nowadays. It's crazy because nowadays like cities are changing, you know, like every city is not how it used to be.
For real.
Like shit's all gentrified, shit's all fancy, like they're taking, like there's like less shit to paint in most cities than there used to be. So like keep moving around and keeping it moving. And you know, there's one of the things that I've been hyped on is like, there's all these like little cities, you know, like all these like little kind of smaller, like medium-sized little cities out there that don't really have graph scenes, you know, and there's just like you could just pull up and, you know, like it, there's all sorts of shit to paint, and like you might like help kind of kick off,
inspire some shit.
Yeah,
the little cities are cool, man. It's tight.
Yeah,
I just La Junta. I call it La Junta, but La Junta, like they say.
That's why I was stoked on
That
that,
shit was
because
cool.
that's where my grandma, her parents, her mom is from La Junta. You know what I mean? But that's like, you know, like a lot of people in like Pueblo, like La Junta, like all those little places. But when I seen you post that, I was like, what? I was like, what? Like, bro, like I come out here to get goat cheese or some shit, bro. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
and there was no graffiti. There was little kids walking up to the wall when we were painting, and they're like, whoa, I've never seen graffiti before ever in real life. Like they're like, this is tight, you know?
Dude.
It was really cool.
A whole little wave of inspiration, you know. I feel very blessed to have come up in Denver, and I could have came up in like other cities that people think are sicker or whatever, but still grew up with like a good scene here, and I feel
great
like a
scene.
lot of people come through here, man. That's what I've noticed is like.
Especially now.
Forever, you know. And
But even before, too.
Back in the day, they didn't as much, but some people did here and there. People who were driving through the country.
Like driving through or something.
Who were driving through.
Some shit, you know?
But now people fly here.
Yeah,
like destination shit.
Stay,
yeah.
You know,
tight.
which is good and sometimes bad in its own ways.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
No, it's a dope scene here, man, and I'm really excited to see other scenes though. You know, I really want to go check it out. Like you said, everywhere has a different vibe, has a different hip hop scene, it has a different, you know, feel to it, and people who do those kind of things, they do it different.
You know what's cool about that too is like, I know all the writers because of the internet who I grew up watching YouTube in different cities, and like you think they're just like the tightest shit, but then there are also like writers who you've never heard but are still like legends in that city, so you learn more
new culture,
under the surface, you know what I mean? Like
right.
the real culture and like the real history, because a lot of people got fame, you know, but you know, they're dope. No discredit to anybody, but also it's like they're still OGs who inspired them, and like, you know, you learn about that history, and it's pretty cool, man. I like learning about people and shit, you know.
That is tight.
World's bigger than Denver, right? Or bigger than Colorado.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and there's people have their own histories over, and just because it didn't make it over here, and at different times too, when there wasn't Instagram, there's like fools who were legends who don't do it no more, and they fucking, crushed or whatever, and now they don't.
I may have never fucking
Yeah.
never know because they didn't make it to the internet.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I see that on trains too. Like that's the one thing about trains is like I always see crazy multiple fucking names and I don't know where they're from. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
I'm like I've never seen this name and it's crazy to think how many people exist and solely, just paint trains. I like
Right.
that about trains. Monikers and shit, you're like
Yeah, don't even have an Instagram and shit, and just
yeah, just
out here
like
painting shit.
do it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like the cutoff, it's like if you were writing before Instagram, like people now, like younger writers, really don't know. It's like because how are you gonna know? Like
Right,
this shit
how
ain't.
do you know?
It's just
Like unless you happen to get published in a magazine or be put on a video back in the day, like
Right.
nobody really knows who you are,
and like there used to even be like the like message boards and shit, like 12-ounce Profit and all that,
Right.
where like you could actually see like history on there because
Right.
people would post old shit,
Posting shit.
and it'd be like it was kind of more of like an archive, but like yeah, it's different now. But I feel like there's a lot of newer writers who are really interested in that history shit. Like people,
Nah, yeah, they want to know it, and
They
it's
wanna
cool
know.
to see that hunger for that
Yeah.
knowledge too, because
and
they understand that it's a part of their history and it's what helps set
Yeah.
the tone.
it's really cool to see that, and like shout out to those people. I've had a lot of people ask me in the last year or so, just like about like history and all that shit, and it's cool that people want to know that. And I feel like for us older writers, like we have a responsibility to like tell that,
Yeah, it really is, and that's why a lot of places are losing that too,
Yeah.
because the OGs aren't really sitting down with any of these young
Right.
cats and feeding them the knowledge. They're not really,
Yeah.
and that's why you have a bunch of fuck shit going on. And
Yeah, like we need to no one else is gonna tell that story besides us.
Exactly, and that's why we're here, man. You know what I mean?
documenting
Bring
it.
dope cats like you to let them know about the history.
What's tight about Denver though too is that people come through and when they visit and they're like, oh, what East is it in Denver? He meets in Denver? Like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
shoes in Denver? I thought he was from LA or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like actually, not even.
He's not
But
even from
but yeah. So it's like, it's cool that we really do have this scene here that is bigger than a lot of people even think or know.
For
Like
sure.
it's some of their favorite graffiti writers live here, and it's a pretty cool scene here. But I love when other people come from other places and give a little bit of their history, and we learn a little bit about what other legends live in their cities.
Right. Yep. I gotta ask you, were you guys watching the war videos up in Minnesota?
Yes, for sure.
Everybody's seen the war videos.
We're actually
huh?
me and Silk are in War 3.
That's what I was about to ask
Yeah,
next.
yeah.
You guys submitted footage, right?
Yeah.
How did you guys even hear about that, or how did that happen? And real quick before you start, I want to let y'all know, because I've heard about this before. War is a graffiti DVD put out by TKO. It's probably like 4 or 5 volumes, but it's basically a graffiti DVD of pretty much straight bombing and crazy shit.
Crazy shit.
Go
yeah.
for it. So how did y'all link up with that and make that shit happen?
I honestly don't even know. Silk hooked that up. He was like talking to somebody, and I forget who asked, but they were like, we want some shit from Minneapolis, and I had literally just moved back to Minneapolis from Chicago like that day, and Silk hits me up. He was like, yo, we're gonna film some shit for this video. And I was like, okay, and we went out and painted like this freeway sign, and
Like some gangster shit, huh?
it was. I mean, it's those spots are rowdy, but yeah, it was kind of funny. It was just like, I don't know, it was like hella random, and then mad people saw that shit, like.
Yeah.
How did you guys even know that you guys had made the video, or did they send you a copy, or how did you guys find out?
I don't know. It was like everybody got it when it came out and shit, So
Were
it's
you guys pumped as fuck? Or,
definitely, yeah, for sure.
kind of changed a lot for you, or not a lot, but like give you some, you know what I mean?
I mean, it's cool now because I'm meeting more people in other cities who saw that, and they're like, "Oh shit!" Like I remember seeing that, and that's cool because I didn't really know like how many people like actually
We're gonna actually see that.
see it, and we were like, we're like, oh shit, we got to do something crazy to like rep Minneapolis, you know? Like,
For real.
We can't do like a fucking chill spot or something. We got to like do like some hype shit.
Yeah.
And real quick, did you see the previous war videos? Or did were you not familiar with them?
Yeah, we'd seen.
You seen the first ones and been like, oh shit.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Yeah, those videos are crazy. Some legendary shit for sure.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, the homie told me to ask you about that. Shout out the homie BGN.
Word.
He said you guys submitted some footage and asked you about it.
Yep.
Well, shit, man. It's been a good conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Definitely talked
man.
about it a lot.
Yeah.
You guys kind of have any maybe final thoughts or any last words?
Instagram,
And
you know, all your information.
Yeah,
you
whatever you want.
Oh,
Want to
shit.
give out a big fuck you? No, I'm just.
I guess shout out to you guys.
Okay.
Shout out to Speak. Shout out to Left Side Gallery. Shout out to all the crews, all the homies, friends, family. You know, all that shit. Everybody.
Yeah, man. Shouts out to everybody that I love. You know who I am, and or you know who you are is what I meant to say. And, shouts out to Shock. Shouts out to just everybody, man, and also shouts out to our show, Future Unwritten. You know, even if you didn't make it to the show or don't make it, it'll be hanging until December 1st at Left Side Gallery. So go through and definitely check it out. Shock has a lot of good work. And he drove out here by this man's art, gave him his gas money, his food money, his hotel money.
Man.
I want him to make his motherfucking money back. So,
yeah.
you know, shouts out to you people who are willing to support other artists as well.
Yeah, man. We both been working hard on this show, so come through.
That's dope. Yeah.
for sure.
And like you said, the art will be hanging through December. So I mean, you know, if you can't make it this Saturday, you can definitely go out there and check it out and copy some dope shit. You know what I mean? All right, well, man, we definitely appreciate you stopping on by. Another dope episode.
Yeah.
Shock, Speak, Elvis.
Yo.
Like I said, you can find us on all platforms. We got that heat for you. You know what I'm saying? All right, we're out of here.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.